everybody. Go ahead and give me one moment to get everybody up and on and ready. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and start this. People can join as I do. Alright, start out real quick. Biggest news of the morning, obviously, is the corroboration of some of the emails from the Hunter Biden laptop. Overnight, it came out that a former business associate of Hunter Biden named Tony Bobulinski gave a sworn affidavit to the Homeland Security and Finances committees in relation to some of the emails. This is his statement. We'll go ahead and read it through real quick. My name is Tony Bobulinski. The facts set forth below are true and accurate. They are not any form of domestic or foreign disinformation. Any suggestion to the contrary is false and offensive. I am the recipient of the email published 7 days ago by the New York Post, which showed a copy of Hunter Biden and Rob Walker. That email is genuine. The email he's talking about is the one that divvied up a supposed Chinese investment. In particular, it had H, which is Hunter, holding 10% of the company for the big guy. As we go through, you'll see this afternoon I received a request from the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs and the Senate Committee on Finance requesting all documents relating to my business affairs with the Biden family as well as various foreign entities and individuals. I have extensive relevant records and communications. I intend to produce those items to both committees in the immediate future. Goes on to say his family has a long history of military service, which is true. It has been verified. A lot of his backstory has been verified. I've actually seen a lot of the verification myself this morning. Goes on to state that he's not a very political person. However, the few campaign contributions I have made in my life are to Democrats. This is true. He is from Central California, Los Angeles area, and he's on record as giving donations in 2013, 2015, and 2016, all to the same Democrat. I cannot remember their name right now. It's Rose something. That being said, he goes on to say why he decided to speak, mainly because he was tired of Schiff and others saying it was a Russian conspiracy. After leaving the military, he served 4 years in the Navy, left as lieutenant with an honorable discharge, which is more than be said for Hunter, who made it a month and a half with an administrative discharge, which should have been a dishonorable. However, his dad saved him on that one. Anyway, after leaving military, he became a institutional investor. This is true. This can be seen through a lot of SEC filings, along with a couple court cases that are still ongoing. He has one court case Bobulinski versus China Branding Group Ltd. which was a Chinese venture that dealt with streaming events from non-Hollywood producers into mainland China. Whole thing never really went anywhere. He invested $1.6 million. The company dissolved, and he's still fighting in court for his portion of the liquidation of the company. There are a lot of SEC filings for various investment companies having to deal with a lot with China that are in good standing. And the important parts, what I am outlining as fact, I know it as fact because I lived it. I am the CEO of Cinehawk Holdings, which was a partnership between the Chinese operating through CEFC Chairman Yi and the Biden family. CFC Chairman Yi is a communist organization in China. I was brought into the company to be the CEO by James Gilliar and Hunter Biden. The reference to the big guy in the much publicized May 13th 2017 email is in fact a reference to Joe Biden. The other JB referenced in that email is Jim Biden, Joe's brother, Hunter's uncle. Hunter Biden called his dad the big guy or my chairman and frequently referenced asking him for his sign-off or advice on various potential deals that we were discussing. I've seen Vice President Biden saying he never talked to Hunter about his businesses. I've seen firsthand that that is not true because it wasn't just Hunter's business. They said they were putting the Biden family name and its legacy on the line. I realized the Chinese were not really focused on a healthy financial return on investment. They were looking at this as a political or influence investment. Once I realized that Hunter wanted to use the company as his personal piggy bank by just taking money out of it as soon as it came from the Chinese, I took steps to prevent that from happening. The Johnson report connected some dots in a way that shocked me. It made me realize that Biden's had gone behind my back and gotten paid millions of dollars by the Chinese, even though they told me they hadn't and wouldn't do that to their partners. I would ask the Biden family to address the American people and outline the facts so I can go back to being irrelevant, and so I am not put in a position to have to answer those questions for them. I don't have a political axe to grind. I just saw behind the Biden curtain, and I grew concerned with what I saw. The Biden family aggressively leveraged the Biden family name to make millions of dollars from foreign entities, even though some were from communist-controlled China. God bless America. Now, also released today were text messages from that period, or they're actually WhatsApp messages. And you can see from these, Hunter and Tony, that is what Zhang implied. They are both coming to be my partner, to be partners with the Bidens. It is implied that the number one has made that clear and is available to him. And I think you're missing the point I am outlining. We are all on the same page. This is James Gilliar, the other partner. So now you have Gilliar giving up text messages, and you have Bobulinski, the second partner. So you're getting confirmations now from multiple peoples on the original email showing the 10% going to Joe Biden. And this one, ask if they have a recommendation or would I do it short term if needed, but maybe he feels better if H puts there a friend with no power but reporting comms. Don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you're face to face. I know you know that, but they're paranoid. Again, showing some of the back channel kind of hush hush part. Let's see here. Again, a lot of these are tying things together. China in particular. But there's also mentions in a lot of these emails and text messages to Eastern Bloc, Western Bloc countries, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and a couple other. But in particular, these have a lot to do with the fact that these were not just hunters' businesses, that they were always supposed to be the legacy of the Bidens, and the entire operation was taken so that the Bidens could collect. And again, this references Tony Bobulinski. Explain to me one thing Tony brings to my table and that I so desperately need that I'm willing to sign over my family's brand and pretty much the rest of my business life. Read the documents, people. It's plain English. Why in God's name would I give this marginal bully the keys to my family's only asset? Why? Should I cite 20 different clauses and 5 different documents that say Tony owns and controls and manages and parcels out and lords over me everything from my right to work to my right to an opinion? Don't get it, James. This is him to his other uncle, I believe. Yeah, to his Jim and James, or the uncle. Don't get it, James. I could have had 10 more impressive people negotiate on my behalf. Tony doesn't even stop so low as to tell me. Now, from what I can gather, and doing some background information on Tony Bobulinski, he's the only one that knew what the hell he was doing. Hunter has absolutely no idea anything. As near as I can tell, he has no investment knowledge. He has no anything. He has a Biden last name. He's basically a shell for Joe to be able to collect money and keep it out of his books without things like these text messages coming out. And then the other thing that's supposed to be coming out about this is, let's see this. Tony Bobulinski. Hi, Tony. I just talked to DZ, and we would like to send the following points to you. Chairman Yee and Director Zhang fully support the framework for establishing the JV based on their trust on BD family. The delay of wire is caused by the details on the JV building as follows. Position and strategy of the JV are not made fully clear to CFC. $5 million is lent to BD family in the $10 million chapter or charter capital. How will this $5 million be used, or the $10 million as a whole? The $5 million loan to BD family is interest free, but if the $5 million is used up, then should CFC keep lending more to the family? If CFC lends more, they need to know the interest rate for the subsequent loans. In terms of the projects to be done by the JV, what kind of projects do you do? Plus, we do not have a review and approval mechanism for project screening and selection yet. Because of the reasons above, the risk management department at CFC is showing concerns on the operation of Cinehawk, hence the delay of the wire. It was 7/26/2017, 11:49 a.m. The other part of this that is coming out now is supposedly there's 30 to 40 emails of Biden with a 14-year-old member of the Biden family doing inappropriate things, either by herself or with other people. It's been well known for a while that Hunter dated his brother Bo's wife after his passing. Eventually, he ended up cheating on her with a stripper somewhere in the Midwest, and ended up having a illegitimate child with her. But apparently, if what OANN is saying is correct, and they should be releasing a interview later today that corroborates the images. Then the only 14-year-old Biden is his niece, Beau's daughter. So I really kind of hope that whole part is bullshit, but we shall see. One thing to look out for today, there was a black man shot. He was 19-year-old from Waukegan, just south of or west of Chicago. They've already set up a 1 o'clock time for a protest, which I'm sure is going to become something more. This was the press conference yesterday. I believe it was yesterday or the day before. As you can see, the family behind him did not want to hear anything he had to say.
A suspicious occupied vehicle in the area of Liberty Street. That vehicle ended up fleeing from the officer. A second officer located the vehicle in the area of MLK and South Street. The officer exited that car, his vehicle, and the vehicle that he was investigating then began to reverse. The officer fired into the vehicle, striking both occupants.
Why would he fire?
The female driver was taken to a local hospital. She did sustain gunshot injuries and is expected to recover.
Why did they shoot
the male passenger was also taken to an area hospital where he passed.
We contacted
the Illinois State Police, who is handling this investigation. Everything that we have in regards to this incident was turned over to them.
Why y'all shoot him though? You can't tell us why y'all shoot him.
We have to back up a little bit. Why did the cop end up in the building? How did the cop end up in the building? That was not right.
And that was the press conference. The press conferences are getting worse and worse as far as their ability to hold on to the whole reality of the situation. But this was just released about that. They finally named the guy who got shot. His name was Marcellus Signet. The girlfriend, mother of his child, was also in the car. She got shot. Still under investigation. Apparently it was DeFaro Williams, and is still in serious condition, who shot him. So, alright. So, that's pretty much where we're at today. As far as tonight with protests go, it's going to be a pretty busy night. There is a national call for a day against police brutality. The group that was running the soup drive in Denver that was counter-protesting the Patriots that ended up leading to the gentleman getting shot and killed are holding another event today. Denver Antifa, Denver BLM, Denver protesters It's not talked about as much, but they're pretty violent. They're the only other place I've seen where they attack the federal building like Portland during the siege with commercial-grade fireworks, Molotovs, things like that. For whatever reason, I think it's coming out now that News 9 in Denver in particular is very biased, but there wasn't the coverage of the protest there. The only person I know that live streams there from any meaningful amount of time is a guy named Cut the Plastic, who is a complete piece of shit, if I'm being honest. It's hard to watch. Not a very good photographer as far as his streaming setup is pretty bad, so the quality is always pretty low. But Denver is someplace I'd watch today. If you haven't seen the video of Rhode Island with the guy on the scooter, they've been rioting nightly since that happened, so that would definitely be someplace to watch. And then Portland's been kind of going ham the last couple of days, but the cops have been doing really good about actually arresting people, so we shall see. But as it gets closer to this evening, I'll see if I can't go live with some protests. The debate is tonight. If you don't know, they've agreed to a new debate rule. There's 6 15-minute sections to the debate. The first 2 minutes of each of the 15-minute segments for each candidate will have the other candidate's microphone muted. So at the beginning of the 15-minute segment, the first person will get to talk for 2 minutes with the other person's microphone muted, and then they'll mute that person, and the other person gets 2 minutes. Then for the 13 or 11 remaining minutes, it'll be free form like it was in the last debate. The debate moderator is a known Democrat that was caught on camera giving Hillary Clinton the questions the last time she did a debate. So it should be interesting. As always, I should be live streaming the debate. Got in some trouble with YouTube over the last one, but I think I figured that out, so I should be able to do it tonight. Anyway, Trump released the 30-minute video from 60 Minutes, and I have not watched it yet, so figure we watch it together real quick.
You're going to be fair.
I'm going to be fair.
Just be fair.
But last time I remember you saying to me, bring it on, bring it on.
No, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for fairness. That's all.
You're going to get fairness. But you're okay with some tough questions.
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with tough
Well, I'm
questions.
going to be fair. You don't ask Biden tough questions.
Me?
Huh?
I don't even.
It's terrible.
I
It's
only
terrible.
interview you.
You know that. Okay. Are you ready?
Everybody ready?
We're out.
Okay. Can I start?
1 second.
Plus the door had you up, I'll lift the portals off. Should be fine.
Am I okay?
You're good.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm ready. So we have the pandemic. On your watch, we've had racial strife, we've had looting. Why do you want this job? Why do you want to be president again?
Because we've done a great job and it's not finished yet. And when I finish, this country will be in a position like it hasn't been maybe ever. The economy is already roaring back, and other people aren't going to bring it back. Certainly the person that we're dealing with is not going to bring it back. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to take away your Second Amendment. They're going to do things that nobody would even believe. It's radical. There's never been anything like it. No,
Let me
we
ask
are
you-
we are positioned like never before. We're going to have a fantastic year next year.
Let me ask you what you think your, the biggest domestic priority is for you right now.
Well,
Or next
ultimately, let me, and I'll tell you, it was happening. We created the greatest economy in the history of our country, and the other side was coming
You
in.
know that's not true.
It is totally true.
No.
Best unemployment numbers, best employment numbers, 160 million people working, highest stock market price. You wouldn't say that to Biden, what you just said to me. If he had it, you would never say that to Biden. We had the best stock market price ever, and we're getting close to that price again. We had the best, everything was the best. Our companies were doing better than they've ever done before. You cannot even think about talking about that.
Well, I'm not gonna fact check you.
Well, you don't have to
I'm
fact
not
check
gonna
me.
do that.
I mean, excuse me,
But-
the stock market was at its highest. The unemployment numbers for African Americans, for Asian Americans, for Hispanic Americans, for everybody were the best. Every number, virtually every number was the best. We had the best economy ever. And what was happening is things were coming
Well,
together.
I asked you what your single biggest
Well, no, what
priority was.
I'm going to say that.
Oh.
And the other side was starting to call, let's get together. There was going to be unity. And then we got hit with the plague, and we had to do it again. And we closed it up, and I saved millions of lives. Millions of lives we saved. And now the economy is growing again at record numbers. 11.4 million people employed in the last short
But
period
what's
of
the
time.
priority? I mean, those are all the good things. What do
The
you
priority
want to
now
solve?
is to get back to normal, get back to where we were, to have the economy rage and be great with jobs and everybody be happy. And that's where we're going, and that's where we're heading.
And who is our biggest foreign adversary?
I would say China. They're an adversary. They're a competitor. They're a foe in many ways, but they're an adversary. I think what happened was disgraceful. Should never have happened. They should never have allowed this plague to get out of China and go throughout the world. 188 countries. Should never have happened.
So there, so.
Leslie, 1 second, please.
What's wrong?
And the flag is wobbling, I think, because it's under a vent, perhaps behind you, Tom.
His hair's coming down a little bit.
You can't have the flag
It doesn't look
flying.
nice blowing.
No, it's distracting.
Oh, really?
I can see it.
Yes, for the arrow. I think we're better, guys.
I'm going with or without you guys.
It's not moving.
No,
Let's
it's
go.
not. Okay, at this stage, 4 years ago, you were behind in the polls, you are now, and you pulled it out. But this time, you have kind of a double migraine. You have unemployment claims going up. You have COVID cases going up. I mean, it's like the gods have suddenly decided to conspire against
I
you.
don't think so at all, no. I think
Well,
we've
what
done a great
about
job
this-
with COVID.
Yeah,
And
but
we've
the
hired,
numbers are going up.
excuse
so-
me, 11.4 million people. Why? Because the last report was just a little bit off. And this is
No.
without,
Sir, excuse me, cases are up in about 40 states.
okay, you know why cases are up also? Because we do more testing. If we didn't do testing, cases would be way
Yeah,
down.
but why are you saying they're not up? You know, you're saying things that people can see.
No, what I'm saying to you, Leslie, is the following. We do more testing than any country in the world by far. Second is India with 1.5 billion people. We do more testing. If we did half the testing, we'd have half the cases. If we did no testing, like many countries, we would have very few cases. Because we do so much testing, the fake news media loves to say cases are up. The fact is, we've done a very, very good job.
Cases are up?
We have done, that's right, because we're doing so much testing.
Cases, will you at least say cases are up?
Yes, cases are up
Okay.
because we are doing tremendous testing, and we're finding where there's a problem. Testing is a good thing, but it's also very misleading.
When you're out there saying we've turned the corner, this thing is disappearing.
That's
and
right, we have
people
turned
can
the corner.
see-
We have turned the
People
corner.
can see cases going up all over in the Midwest, in the Mountain West. Record numbers of
We have
cases in
turned the
some
corner.
states.
We understand the disease. We understand the elderly, and we're taking care of them at a level like nobody's ever taken care of the elderly, especially the elderly with diabetes problems, heart problems. We are taking care of them like nobody's ever taken care of them. We also understand youth, 99.9%. As an example, Barron had it, and it was gone in no time. It was just like he had it, it was gone. Hardly knew he even had it. So we are taking care of our people. But we've done a great job with the ventilators, with the equipment, with stocking governors that were not stocked. We've made a lot of governors look very good that shouldn't look good, and that's okay with me.
Okay, let me ask you something about suburban women.
Yeah.
You said the other day to suburban women, will you please like me, please?
Oh, I didn't
please?"
say that. You know, that's so misleading the way I say jokingly, suburban women, you should love me because I'm giving you security and I got rid of the worst regulation. See, the way you said that
Yeah.
is why people think of you and everyone else as fake news. I said kiddingly, suburban women, you should love me. I got rid of a regulation
You
that
said,
would bring
quote,
low-income housing into suburbia that would destroy suburbia. And I said that in a joking way. The way you have it, it's like, oh, like I'm begging. I'm kidding. Play it, and I'm kidding. That is such a misleading question, Leslie.
But you're behind with suburban women in the polls.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I really doubt it.
One of the
I'm
things,
saving suburbia. He's going to destroy suburbia. He's got a regulation which I terminated that he would put back, and even worse, that will bring low-income housing projects into suburbia. And women understand that, and they've really learned about it over the last 2-3 weeks. I terminated the worst regulation you could possibly have. It's gone. And suburban women appreciate it. They want security, they want safety. Look, I've been endorsed by almost every police department, almost every law enforcement group in the country. He's been endorsed by almost nobody. Suburban women want security.
but the polls show that you're behind with them. And one of the reasons, let me
You're
say
not looking
this,
at recent polls.
one of the reasons is that they don't feel you're being upfront about the pandemic. And when you
So-
say there are fewer, we're rounding the corner, and
We
you
are
tell
rounding
Bob
the corner.
Woodward that
We
you
are rounding the
deliberately like to downplay this.
We are rounding the corner.
Are you
We're rounding the
deliberately
corner. We're
downplaying it?
doing well. We're doing well. We understand the disease. I saved millions of people. 2.2 million people were supposed to die. You go back and you look at your models, 2.2 million people. We saved tremendous numbers of people. Plus, I closed it very early from China, heavily infected, and even from Europe, heavily infected. We've done a good job. We've done maybe a great job. What we haven't done a good job on is convincing people like you, because you're really quite impossible to convince, but that's okay. And the economy now is coming back, and it's coming back very strongly. And people see that, Leslie.
There are more unemployment claims. The economy has kind of
Leslie, we just
stalled a
picked
little
up 11.4 million jobs. It's the largest number
bit.
in
What
the
about
history
these
of our country in a
unemployment
short period of
claims going
time.
up? I mean, how
Leslie,
can you ignore
you didn't
that?
hear me. We just picked up 11.4 million jobs. It's in a short period of time. It's the largest number in the history of our country.
But are you denying that the unemployment claims have gone up? Is that
What I'm saying is,
happened?
we got hit by something, not my fault, not
No,
your fault.
no.
We got hit from something that came out of China. I got stuck with it. And let me tell you, before it happened, we were doing so good, and now we're going to be doing, and we are doing good. But
Well,
look at as an example, last week, a few days ago, Gallup did a poll. 56% of the people said that they're better off now during a pandemic than they were during Obama and Biden. 56%. It was a record number, right?
Yes, but I want to know if you're what, ignoring the fact that there are unemployment claims?
No, I don't ignore
Okay,
it.
well, what are you saying about
What I'm
it?
saying is that we got hit with somebody. It's not our fault. We
I
got
know,
hit.
but what
And
if-
we've done a good job. Not a good job. We've done a great job. Remember that number, a very important number. 56% say they're happier now than they were 4 years ago under Biden and Obama, right? I'll put his name first. Biden and Obama. And they didn't have a pandemic, although Biden did have a big problem with H1N1, which he says in reverse, with the H1N1 swine flu, and it was a disaster. And his own chief of staff said it was a total disaster. They didn't know what they were doing.
Can we go back for 1 second to the pandemic? because you called Dr. Fauci and other health officials idiots. And
Dr.
I'm wondering,
Fauci,
I'm
when did I
wondering
call,
if you
when did I
think,
call him an
I'm
idiot?
wondering if you
When did I
think
call him an idiot?
you called them idiots. I wonder if you
Well, he's been
think-
wrong a lot. I like him, but he's been wrong
I
a lot.
wonder if you think that masks don't work.
Well,
Is that
Dr.
what
Fauci
you're
originally
saying?
said, it's a very
But
complex
what do you
subject.
say? Do you say
Well, let me
masks
just tell you,
don't
you
work?
mentioned Dr. Fauci said, don't wear masks. Then he said, wear them.
What do you
I
think?
say that I feel masks possibly work. But certainly you want to stay away a certain distance, socially distance, etc. But I would say a mask works, and I have nothing against masks, and I tell people to wear masks. I have
Well,
no
tell
problem.
me then about these rallies you've been having.
A lot of people are
With
wearing
people-
masks, and they're
A lot of people
outside.
aren't. I'm watching all these people jammed in together, and I'm seeing most of them without masks. And I'm wondering the message that you're sending with these pictures coming across.
Take a look.
the-
Yesterday, we were in Arizona, record-setting rallies, numbers of people like nobody's seen before.
Well,
Many,
you
many
used to have
masks. I
bigger
watched.
rallies.
What?
You used to have bigger rallies.
No, these are much bigger than I ever
I
had.
don't want to be the girl over
You
that.
know,
Tell me
you're
about
so
the mask
negative,
wearing.
you're so negative. These are the biggest rallies we've ever had. You just come in here with that negative attitude. These are the biggest rallies we've ever had. We are having numbers like we've never had.
Tell me about the
There is
masks.
more, excuse me, no, but you made a statement. There's more enthusiasm right now for us than we ever had before, ever. And you will see that in a short period of time.
But what about the masks?
A lot of people are wearing masks. I mean, I looked yesterday, a lot of people were, and it's outdoor. They want it outdoor, and we're doing it
But
outdoor.
I can't believe after what happened in the Rose Garden here, after the announcement, with all the people getting sick, that you are not being more strongly encouraging about wearing masks at your
I
rallies.
tell people to wear
But you
masks.
don't.
Leslie, we hand out thousands of
But
masks
you
at
look
every
out and you're
rally.
not wearing them, and you don't say, please put on
Well,
your
have you
mask.
been looking yesterday? Take a look yesterday in Arizona. Everybody behind me
But
had a
I'm
mask.
looking at other places. I'm looking at Wisconsin, which is a hot spot right
Right,
now.
right. A lot of people had
A
masks.
lot of people
And it was
without masks.
outside.
And you don't get up there and say, look, you know,
Okay.
come on.
Go
I
ahead.
don't want you to
What's your
get
next
sick.
question, Leslie? We're outside. The rallies are bigger than they've ever been. There's more enthusiasm than we've ever had. There has never been anything like what you're witnessing now, and you'll see that soon.
Okay, but I'm asking about masks, not about the size of the rallies. I'm asking why you
You
want to say.
commented on the size of the
I know,
rally.
but
You
I'm
said they're not
asking-
as big as they used to be, and I'm telling you they're much bigger.
Okay, but I'm asking you now about the masks. Why aren't you getting up there and saying, I had it, I don't want you to get it, so please
Leslie,
put your mask on?
we hand out masks to everybody that comes to the rally. We tell them to wear the masks.
And you don't, and they love you.
Oh, I
and
don't
they-
know, Leslie. I
If
tell
they
them wear
heard you
them.
say it,
I have no problem. No
they
problem.
love you, they would
Next
pay
question, go
attention
ahead,
to
go ahead.
anything you said. Okay.
I hope you're right. Go ahead.
Okay, this is important. Okay, I'll ask you another health question, okay? You promised that there was gonna be a new health package, healthcare plan.
Yeah.
You said that it was gonna be great, you said it's ready, it's gonna be
It will
ready,
be.
it's all ready. It'll be here in 2 weeks, it's gonna be like nothing you've ever seen before, and of course, we haven't seen it. So why didn't you develop a health plan?
It is developed, it is fully developed, it's going to be announced very
When?
soon when we
You
see
say
what
that
happens with
over and
Obamacare,
over.
which is not good. And when we see what happens with Obamacare.
But if the Supreme Court,
And it will be much less expensive than Obamacare, which is a disaster, and it will take care of people with pre-existing conditions.
but your plan was to repeal and replace, and if the Supreme Court finishes Obamacare, there will be all these people stranded,
No,
because there's no replacement.
we will make a deal, and we will have a great healthcare plan
But you keep
with
saying that.
less expensive, and a much better plan.
Why haven't you seen it?
You have seen it. I've been putting out pieces all over the place, and we actually have plans. And we have 180 million people right now have a plan. and you haven't been watching. You haven't been watching.
But what about the pre-existing, people with pre-existing conditions? If the Supreme Court.
Are protected. Will be totally protected.
How?
They'll be protected,
How?
Leslie. I mean, the people with
How?
pre-existing conditions are going to be
How?
protected, as they are now.
How?
In any plan we do,
But there
they will
isn't
be
a plan.
protected. Leslie, people with pre-existing conditions will be always protected, always.
But if the Supreme Court ends this, Obamacare,
Well, we'll have to see what happens. It's got a ways to go. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it'll end. I hope that they end it. It'll be so good if they
And
end
if
it,
they end it,
because we will come up with a plan, which will be a. Yeah, we will.
but you said it would already.
We have large sections of it already done, and we've already come up with plans. Take a look at your various secretaries, various plans that we've already come up with, and also, you know, a large part of this country has private health insurance.
Yes.
180 million people. And under that, Biden, he doesn't have any clue, but under that, 180 million people will lose their health care. And they'll go to socialized medicine, and that's not going to be acceptable.
Okay.
180 million people, Leslie, will go to socialized medicine. It
And-
won't
and-
be, it will not be acceptable.
And if the Affordable Care Act is determined to be unconstitutional,
Then we're going to have and it's
There-
going to be very good, and
Yeah,
it's
but
going
you keep saying that and don't show it to us. And so people with
to.
pre-existing
We've come up with
conditions-
many plans, Leslie, and we have, they're already in existence. I'll tell you what, after this interview, I will show you short-term, longer-term, I'll show you different plans. We've come up with many plans. And we cut the individual mandate out. You know, the individual mandate is gone. That was the worst part of Obamacare, that's gone.
Okay, all of that, I grant you, all of that. But if there's no plan, a replacement plan.
Right.
And the Supreme Court says that Obamacare goes away, people with pre-existing conditions will be stranded.
No.
And that's just a fact.
It's wrong. It's
No.
wrong. A new plan will happen.
But will.
And we won't do anything, will and is. We won't do anything and no plan unless we have pre-existing conditions covered. And the individual mandate, which you don't want to mention, was terminated. It was terminated. Individual mandate was terminated. That is the biggest thing that's happened. And that actually makes Obamacare not Obamacare. Because under that, you would pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. We got it terminated. Terminated through the legislature. Signed, done. That means Obamacare is no longer Obamacare. We got rid of the most important element of Obamacare, and it was the worst element of Obamacare that nobody wanted, nobody liked. So Obamacare essentially was terminated as we know it. Now we have the carcass of Obamacare.
Well, part of the
We've
carcass
managed
is
it well.
pre-existing.
Leslie, we've managed it well. You know, I had a choice to make. When we got rid of the individual mandate, nobody believed we could do that, and I did it. Right? I had a choice to make. Do I manage the remainder of whatever's left of this whole thing called Obamacare, which is no good? Do I manage it well or manage it badly? If I manage it well, politically maybe that's not
Well, then
good.
do you wanna
I
leave it?
decided to manage it well.
Do you want to leave it? I mean,
No, I don't want to leave it.
existence
I want to see what
covered
happens. Here's what happens.
Well, but why
We may
not
be
leave it?
stuck with it if we lose in the Supreme Court, in which case we're wasting a lot of words. If we win, we will come up with a much, and we will do that, come up with a much better health care for much less money, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions.
Are you going to say that you didn't say this? Because I saw you say this.
Go ahead.
on television.
No, you're really trying to. I wish you would interview Joe Biden like you interview me. It would be so good. You know what?
You like this, I thought. I thought you
I don't
liked
mind it. I don't mind it. But when I watch him walk out of a store, he's in the midst of a scandal. His family is corrupt. Okay, he's corrupt. He's a corrupt politician. And he's walking with ice cream. And the question the media asks him, what kind of ice cream, what flavor ice cream do you have? And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking, of course he is,
No,
Leslie.
come on.
Of course he is.
You
See
know, they
that?
had the Senate
So
committee
you're
of
like
Republicans.
big tech. You're protecting him. and everyone is, except for
Yeah, but you're taking something that was investigated
Leslie,
by a
let me ask
Republican
you.
committee.
You think it's
and-
okay for the mayor of Moscow's wife to give him millions and millions of dollars, $3.5 million, to give his family $3.5? Do you think it's okay for Hunter Biden to say that we're giving the big guy 10% of this massive amount of money they're taking in? Do you think it's okay for all of these horrible things that you've seen, where they're getting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, where China gives them $1.5 billion to manage the family, $1.5 billion, and then he's supposed to negotiate? Let me tell you, it's the second biggest scandal.
So-
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no
Leslie.
real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's
No.
all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't
Look,
put
let me tell
on
you.
things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied
And-
on my
Well, we
campaign.
can't
It's been
verify.
totally verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that.
Okay.
And you're out
So
there.
why don't you get back to your interview and let's go.
We'll go. All right. So you said in the briefing room, nobody likes me. It can only be my personality.
I said that jokingly. That is sarcastic. Nobody likes me. It must be my personality. I say it all the time. Nobody likes me. It must be my personality. I say it all the time, Leslie.
Do you think that your tweets and your name calling are turning people off?
No, I think I wouldn't be here if I didn't have social media, because the media is
The name
corrupt.
call.
In my
Let's talk
opinion,
about-
the media is corrupt. But,
You know,
but
you
the
told-
media is fake. And frankly, if I didn't have social media, I'd have no way of getting out my voice.
You know what you told me a long time ago when I asked why you keep saying fake
Yeah.
media?
Yeah.
You said to me, I say that because I need to discredit you so that when you say negative things about me, no one will believe
I
you.
don't have to discredit you.
But that's what you
You've
told me.
discredited yourself.
You told me that.
Leslie, you've discredited yourself. When you say that you're not going to cover Biden, you're going to ask him what flavor ice cream he has, okay?
That's not
Instead
me.
of why did Hunter get $3.5 million from Moscow? Instead of why is an energy company paying your son $183,000 a month or whatever they're paying him, and he has no experience in energy? You know, you discredit yourself. I don't have to discredit you.
So this story about Hunter and his laptop, some repair shop found it. The source is Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
I don't know anything about
And
that.
you're
I just know it's a
making-
laptop,
and
and they
you're-
haven't.
And you're making this one of the hottest, most important issues in your rallies.
I don't know about the two
This
gentlemen you
is the most
mentioned.
important issue in the country.
It's a
right
very
now.
important issue to
For
find
you
out
to
whether or
talk
not a
about.
man's corrupt who's running for president, who's accepted money from China and from Ukraine and from Russia.
All these
Yeah, I think
things
that's
have
an
been
important issue.
investigated and
It's
discredited.
incredible the way you can try and say this and sit there and look me in the eye and say it.
A Republican
He accepted money,
committee-
his family, from Russia, from Ukraine, from China, and from other places.
and a
His
Republican-
brother, who didn't have experience, became a big builder in Iraq without experience. Take a look at what's going on, Leslie, and then you say how that shouldn't be discussed.
I'm saying,
It's the biggest scandal out there, Leslie.
and you think it's the biggest issue to campaign on.
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it.
Biggest.
You want to talk about
Well, because it can't be verified.
you want to talk
I'm
about
telling you.
insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course, it can be verified. Excuse me,
We
they found
cannot
the
verify.
laptop, Leslie.
It can't be
Leslie,
verified.
what can't be verified?
The laptop,
Why do you say that?
because.
Even the
it's
family
verified.
hasn't, the family on the laptop, he's gone into hiding. For 5 days, he's gone into hiding.
He's preparing for your debate.
Oh, it's taken him 5 days to prepare? I doubt it. I doubt it. Okay,
All
go
right,
ahead.
all right. So let's get back to the name calling, okay? And whether you think it's turning people off.
No, I
because
think, look, it is
you
what
call
it is.
Biden stupid.
Where are we sitting now? Where are we sitting?
In the Roosevelt Room
Of what?
of the White House.
That's right. How did I get here? How did I get here? We're in the White
But
House.
what are you saying? Oh, but by name calling, you think that
No,
that's
not by name
appealing?
calling, by, doing the right thing. And we have a great record. I mean, we got hit by a pandemic, wasn't my fault. But it was China's fault. But Leslie,
The reason-
we're in the White House. The press is very biased, very, very biased. And I'm not talking
You're
about
trying
name
to
calling. I'm talking
discredit
about,
us.
no.
Yes.
No, I'm not. You're discrediting yourself, Leslie.
No, you are.
Leslie, you're discrediting yourself. When you don't go after Biden, with the corruption in the Biden family,
Why are you asking me about going after Biden? You've asked me 5,
when
6,
you
7
don't, when
times.
you don't go after what happened in the Russia witch hunt, which turned out to be a total phony with no collusion whatsoever. When you don't do that, you discredit yourself. The press, is highly discredited right now. You do know that. So you discredit yourself.
I don't even know where to go here. Half the country loves you, but the other half doesn't. And I'm wondering why you don't.
They were
think-
starting to, Leslie, when the economy was prior to the to the plague. They were starting to really we were all starting to like each other. It was coming together. There was going to be a lot of
I've heard you say
unification.
that before, and I don't think
Okay,
we were coming together.
I'm just telling you.
I think we've had disunity.
People were calling me.
Unfortunately.
People were calling me about coming together, and then we got hit by the plague, and now we're rebuilding it again, and it's going well.
And do you think that you do anything to unify the country?
I do. I think I do unify the country. I think I will unify the country. It's called success. When our country becomes,
What
again,
about the rabid partisanship in the country? Do you take any responsibility for the country being divided against itself? Do you feel that?
I'd like not to, but, perhaps everybody has to take a little responsibility for it. But when people put out phony witch hunts, when they spy on your campaign, you have to fight back. And if you don't fight back, you're not sitting here very long. You go back home. You go back home to mommy.
I've been listening to you. I don't know how long we've been here, and it's just attack.
I don't think so. I mean, look, it's not attack.
It is.
It's defense. It's defense
No,
against attacks.
No, you've been attacked.
It's defense against
You're
attacks.
very aggressive.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't view it that way. I'm defending myself, and I'm defending the institution of the presidency. Very important thing.
Can you?
Hi, Mike. Are you having a good time, Mike, watching? You know Mike, right? Our great vice president.
I do.
You think she'd ask questions like this of,
Wow, you
I don't
looked
think
at all
so.
that.
You think
Can
she'd ask questions like this of Joe? I don't think so.
Can you characterize your supporters? Can you?
Yeah, I think I can. People that love our country. And people that don't want to see the stores get looted and burned down, and people that don't want to see riots, and they don't want to see anarchists. Yeah, I think I can. These are
And
people that love our country,
You make.
and they don't like to see,
But you don't seem.
they don't like to see policemen get shot and not be able to defend themselves. They don't like to see rioting in the middle of Fifth Avenue or in the middle of other streets in Portland or other places. And they like it when their president gets the endorsement of virtually every police group and, frankly, almost everybody having to do with law and order. Positive law and order. But you know what they are? They're people that love our country more than anything else, and they like to see our country thrive.
But do you think that when you hold rallies and encourage people to say, lock her up, the way you
I don't encourage them. They say it.
And you
Hillary
enjoy it.
Clinton,
You
let
don't
me
say
just tell
don't
you,
do
Hillary
that.
Clinton she deleted 33,000 emails after she got a subpoena from the United States Congress.
Why
No,
is
that's
that-
illegal.
I know, but why?
Now,
I'm
why
not-
somebody
I don't
doesn't do
know.
something
But
about
why
it?
is this still an issue? Why do people,
I think it's an issue.
they're not gonna vote
To
on
me,
that.
it's an issue.
She ran last time.
Excuse me, when they say lock up, it's not me. They say it. It starts. It
You
ends up
encourage
being.
it.
I don't encourage it.
Yes.
No. If I mention her name, I think it's an
They're
issue.
not gonna vote
To
on
me, it's
that. When you hold rallies and encourage people to say, lock her up.
I don't encourage them. They say it.
I want to stop here
And
for a
you-
second.
Hillary
You
Clinton.
don't
Let me
say
just tell
don't
you.
do
Hillary
that.
Clinton deleted. She deleted 33,000 emails after she got a subpoena from the United States Congress.
Why does
No, that's
that-
illegal.
I know, but why?
Listen, she just said, I know, to the fact that Hillary's email deletion was illegal. But now she's going to say, but why is that still a thing? I thought we got past that.
Why somebody doesn't
I don't
do
know.
something
But
about
why
it?
is this still an issue?
Yeah, we know she did something illegal, but why is this still an issue? We beat you up 4 years ago for this. Why do you care?
I think it's an
They're
issue.
not gonna vote
To
on
me, it's
that.
an issue.
She ran last time.
Excuse me. When they say lock up, it's not me. They say it. It starts. It
You
ends up
encourage
being.
it.
I don't encourage it.
Yes.
No. If I mention her name about something, they go crazy.
Well, what about the governor of Michigan who had this plot that people were gonna, I think.
I don't know anything
your
about the
supporters-
plot, but I can tell you
I'm
this.
telling you about the
It was
plot.
our Justice Department that is the one that's helping her.
Yeah.
My Justice Department, if you call it that.
Yeah.
It was our Justice Department that's helping her. And, people they're not liking her so much because she's got everybody locked down. Now, we
Miss
just won a
Barbara
Supreme Court where it's unconstitutional. The only one she doesn't have locked down is her husband, who went sailing and did things that he wasn't supposed to be doing.
You are very powerful.
When you are the
And the
governor
people
of a state
who
that has
love you
the
love you
single
with passion.
largest per
And if
capita
you go after
militia
somebody,
membership, the fuck do you think is going to happen? When you keep breaking
I
the
haven't
They
gone
took to
after her.
heart, and there
No,
are
no.
plots and threats, and the
I
same
haven't
with
gone after
Dr.
her.
You did.
I've helped her. It was
You
our
did go
Justice
after her.
Department
You
that's
criticized
helping
her.
her. Oh, I do criticize her, yeah.
Well,
I
that's
think the
going
way she
after her.
locked down Michigan is a disgrace.
But
The
when
way
you-
she closed churches in Michigan is a disgrace. I think it's disgraceful, what she's done. I do.
You want to lock
And
her
by the
up.
way, that's other, of course not. That's other governors also. They happen to be Democrats, and they've closed up their states, and they're causing a lot of problems with these lockdowns. Suicide, drugs, alcohol, a lot of bad things are happening, and they should open up their states. Carefully, but they should open up
Well,
their
when you
states.
say open up, you don't say carefully, you say open up. You don't have
Oh, I say
an
carefully.
aggressive program to say open up with masks, open up with social distancing.
The
You
governors
say
run
open
their
up.
states.
No,
We
but
help
the
them a lot,
message
but the
was
governors
you.
run their states.
You are.
And the governors have to do what they have to do.
But you-
But when they lock down Michigan, she's doing a tremendous disservice.
Well, what about
Same thing
you
with
saying-
Pennsylvania,
what
same
if-
thing with North Carolina.
What about
These
you
are
saying-
Democrat governors, and they're doing a great disservice.
What about you saying, let's open up, but let's wear masks. Let's
Well, I
open up.
say-
You don't.
I say, I'm not against masks at all.
But you're not
I
for
say-
them.
There are
Sure, yeah,
50
wear
governors
'em.
of 50
Wear 'em.
states
But I also say socially distance. I say
that get
all
to make
things.
the ultimate decision.
But you know what? Well, look, with you,
But it's
nothing I
Trump's
said
fault.
would be any good lesson.
That's not
okay?
true, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. But in the
That's not
meantime,
true.
we're having a record comeback because if you look, we're the fastest growing nation in the world after this pandemic, by far. And we sunk less than any other nation, relatively speaking. And we're coming back very strong, very, very strong.
So you don't want to lock up Governor Whitmer, but you want to
When did I
lock
say
up
lock her up? I
the
never said.
Bidens, you want to lock
Wait
up
a minute, when did I say
Obama.
lock her up? When did I say lock up the governor? I didn't say lock up the governor.
All right, but you.
Why
want-
would I lock her up?
you
No, but
want-
why did you say you don't want to lock up the governor? Of course I don't want to lock her up. Why would I lock her up?
Because you were in front of a rally of people saying it, encouraging it.
I never said it, Leslie. I never said lock
So you
up the
don't want to
governor.
lock up the governor.
Leslie, it's such a vicious thing you just said. I never said lock up the governor of Michigan. I would never say that.
Well, did you-
Why would I say that?
Well, what
Because
about the Bidens?
she's doing
Do
lockdowns.
you want to lock up the Bidens?
No, I don't want to lock them up,
What
but they
about
certainly
Obama?
should be looked at.
Obama? You want to lock up Obama?
No, I don't want to lock him up, but he spied on my campaign.
Do you want to lock up
Obama
Hillary?
and Biden spied on my campaign. Do you know what that is? Do you know what they did? Do you know how horrible it is what they did?
But
you
it's
don't,
never
you don't
been
get
verified.
it. It's been totally verified,
No,
Leslie.
sorry.
You'll find out, but it's been totally verified.
You've all but said that Attorney General Barr should go after President Obama. If you lose, you will be here, okay? You lose. How would you feel if then President Biden went after you?
Oh, he probably will, because I think he's a very dishonest guy. And he probably will look for something, probably will, we'll see. But you know what? Attorney General Barr has been very nice, that's all I can tell you. He's been very nice. He's been very respectful.
Criticized him.
He's been very, no, I didn't criticize him, it's just a different personality. They're very lucky, because the evidence is overwhelming. And Attorney General Barr is a great gentleman. It's a great gentleman. They are very lucky. Now, I can't tell you what's gonna happen, I don't know.
I know.
Because I purposely like to stay out of it. You know what? I don't like to get involved. I can if I want, but I don't like to get involved. But I think they've been very, very lucky. Attorney General Barr is a gentleman.
You know, I didn't want to have this kind of thing.
Of course you did.
No, I didn't.
Of course you did.
No, I didn't.
Well, then you brought up a lot of subjects that
Well, I said
were
I'm gonna ask
inappropriately
you
brought
tough
up.
questions.
They were inappropriately
But-
brought up, right from the beginning. No, your first question was, this is going to be tough questions. Well,
It
when you
is.
set up the interview, your first statement
You're
was,
president. Don't you
Excuse me,
think you
no,
should
no,
be
no.
accountable to the
listen,
American people?
your first statement to me, this is going to be tough questions. Well, I don't mind that. But when you set up the interview, you didn't say that. You said, oh, let's have a lovely interview. And here's what I do say.
So what?
You don't ask Joe Biden. I saw your interview with Joe, the interview with
I
Joe Biden.
never did a Joe
It was a
Biden
joke.
interview.
The interview, 60 Minutes. I see Joe Biden giving softball after softball. I've seen all of his interviews. He's never been asked a question that's hard.
Okay, but forget him for a minute.
No, but you
You're
start with
president.
me.
You're president. and-
Excuse me, Leslie, you started with me. Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
I do.
That's no way to talk. No way to talk.
Leslie, one second, this is the first warning, I think we have 5 minutes until we have the vice president step in, is that about right?
Well, I think we have enough, really, we have enough of
Yeah, I think we're
it.
ready for the vice president now.
I think we have enough of an interview here. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go meet for 2 seconds, okay? Thanks. I'll see you later. Thanks.
Dun, 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 dun. All right. It's pretty much everything I thought it was going to be. Media has become these leftist megaphones that are constantly trying to get that gotcha moment, except their gotcha moments aren't coming because for the last 3.5 years they've been trying for the same gotcha moment and they've all been proven false. Think about it. 3.5 years, hundreds of millions of dollars, the time and capital of damn near the entire House of Representatives and Schiff and his group spent trying to find any actionable intel for the left to think that Trump is so stupid, so ignorant, such a bad businessman, such a bad, evil human. And yet, after 3.5 years not to be able to find a damn thing on the man, you're either having to accept that he is so fucking smart that he is able to cover his tracks so fucking well that the entire Department of Justice and the House of Representatives and all of its investigative committees and spending endless resources can't get the better of him. And you'd rather believe that than understand that you're just so caught up in a lie that you've been telling yourself and your base for so long that you can't admit that he just didn't do anything. I'm not saying the man is perfect. He's not. He's an asshole. He's an honest asshole. I know exactly what I'm getting with him. I'm getting an asshole. I'm getting an asshole that's effective. He's got more accomplished in 3.5 years fighting tooth and nail every day with obstructionists like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff. Imagine what he could have done had he not had to deal with all that shit. But there was one other thing I wanted to show. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, okay. National Public Radio. Why haven't you seen any stories from NPR about the New York Post Hunter Biden story? Read more in this week's newsletter. We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. The problem with that, A, is right below that, like an hour later, you do a story smearing Giuliani. How does that work? Secondly, and going back to Leslie Stahl's, well, it's not verifiable. What do you mean it's not verifiable? The person who is in control of the laptop is speaking to the media. There's many people in these email chains that are verifiable, 2 of which just in the last 48 hours have come in verified, not only that they were involved in, but the authenticity of the actions within the emails. The court documents, the subpoena, they're all verifiable. The director of national intelligence went on TV and said not only did they exist, but that there was no intelligence to show that they were anything but genuine. So, given just that, that's not enough for you to run an article. That's enough for you to be convinced that there's something to report, that they're merely a distraction. Shut up your ass. You get government funding. You're funded by taxpayers. And I hope when Trump wins that you're not anymore. Because as much as I used to like NPR, and particularly their podcast, it's the same situation as I used to like Stephen Colbert. I used to like a lot of people until they got so one myopically focused on hating Trump that there is no other content but hating Trump. I hate Biden. I lived in Delaware for a while. I know a story about Biden that I've gotten firsthand and secondhand from old guys that used to run the docks, used to work for the union, or around when he was running for local office and the dirty shit he did then. But we haven't gotten that far yet. No one cares about shit that happened 30 years ago. But hey, whatever. It's NPR. I got a message. Let's see if it was in here. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. This is the shooting I was talking about earlier in Waukegan, Illinois. They are starting to group up, so we are going to keep an eye on them and keep an eye on all the other. Let's see here. Schumer.
Boycotting today's committee markup. I am here to stand with my colleagues on the Judiciary Committee who are boycotting today's committee markup on the nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. This is not a decision the members of the committee have taken lightly, but a Republican majority has left us no choice. We are boycotting this illegitimate hearing. The nomination of Amy Coney Barrett is the most illegitimate process I have ever witnessed in the Senate, and her potential confirmation will have dire, dire consequences for the Senate, for the Supreme Court, and our entire country for generations to come.
Blow it out your ass.
I am here to stand.
Here's the problem with what he's saying. You don't... There's a term for things. In particular, if you are a second-term president that has found himself around the election of the last year of his last term. It's called a lame duck presidency. It basically means while you may be president until January, you don't get to do anything because you're not going to have any, you don't have any clout because you can't help anybody do anything else. That's not what this is. We pick presidents for 4-year periods. We elect the next president in the 3rd year or the 4th year of the previous president's term. President Trump, regardless of what happens at the election, will be president until January 21st of next year. That will be the 4-year mark from his inauguration for his first term. The fact that they keep saying, oh, well, he doesn't, everybody gets to vote and they should be able to vote for whoever gets to pick. They've already voted for who gets to pick during that 4-year period to fill any seats. And if you really want to be picky about it, at the point that the point that the justice died, given the amount of people that have been coerced into early voting, millions of people had already voted before she died. Are those people supposed to be disenfranchised under their grand scheme? Do they get to retake their vote? No. Because they're not voting for anything that happens between now and January 21st of next year. They're voting for what happens for the 4-year period after that. Period. Otherwise, you can say, oh, well, every 2 years we're voting, and we just can't do anything every 2 years because, well, what if you can't pass a law because what if the makeup of the House changes? Nah. Nope. That man right there, Jeremy Boring, No idea who he is, but he brings up a good point. I hope the moderator has the courage to ask the president if he denounces white supremacy tonight. Let's all put money down on the fact that somebody asked, do you denounce white supremacy? Somehow I doubt it. I don't think they're that stupid. They may be. And they're putting up barricades in Waukegan. This is the same parking lot they have the news presser where they ran away at the end of it. Yeah, it was her dying wish. Let me tell you about illegitimate. Someone's dying wish has zero shits to do with the Constitution. Absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution. Had they actually won that argument, everybody that went along with it would be going against their fucking oath of office. Fucking dying wish. What is this guy?
So they was handling that. We seen the two police cars turn and come down this way. Now the rest of them, after them 9 shots rang out, they going that way. To me, they either had to stop this car, they let these people go, they let the boy and the girl go. When them 9 shots rang out, they got a car, or a description of a car. And they all flying around here. They weren't looking for them.
So that incident, right when it happened, what happened?
When I came down this way, because I saw the police car turn flying this way. He parked right there. I heard the baby yelling. You could hear her. My daughter heard her. I left my daughter because I started running this way. I'm trying to figure out what all the police doing. They all riding around here. Now, the only thing I can't get is all the police they had the street blocked off there already. Okay. They on foot. Police up here, the police that passed me on foot. Something happened over here in this alley. Now, and had people tell us that the girl had came out the alley. Now, I'm telling you, I didn't see none of what was over there. Okay. All I seen was when she was coming past, he jumped out in front of the car and he just said stop and started shooting. He kept running up and he was getting closer on the car. She swerved, he moved out of the way. Somehow the car in reverse. I don't know if she stuck it in reverse, what she did, but the car started. She on the gas.
Was that
I
after
think
she
she
was shot?
I don't think the police knew he hit her.
Okay.
She didn't know she was
this
hit.
was after the shots was fired when the
Exactly.
car.
So I think what
Shots
happened
fired
was
first.
she passed out.
Okay.
And when she came to, her foot on that gas. That's what caused her to keep spinning. I thought she got hit by the police car the way it's just spinning. You know what I'm saying?
public servants.
By the time I get, because I can't see, I can't see the car. But I see it spinning over here once I get right here on this other side of this truck. But I moved out the way because the police ran past me to ask him, was he okay? The car was spinning. While the car spinning, he was still shooting at me.
So we.
I'm going to be honest. This is not the first person that I've heard give a recitation of events that is similar to this. And the fact of the matter is, yes, every town in America right now is one officer-involved shooting away from complete destruction. That being said, Rashard Brooks in Atlanta, Patrick Kimmons, Jacob Blake, a lot of these are questionable to the point where it can be easily assumed, given all the facts, that the cops did act appropriately. That might not be what everybody wants to hear. And believe me, I don't believe in riots. I don't believe in a lot of the shit that's going on. But if he shot my brother, I probably wouldn't be thinking with the most logic. Okay? The problem is, at some point, because there are actual bad cops. Anybody that tells you something different is lying. Every segment of the population, however you want to segment it, by race, by religion, by occupation, there are going to be bad actors in every group because there are bad actors within humans. There are nurses that kill people. There are doctors that kill people. There are teachers that kill people. There are bad actors in every occupation. That being said, since George Floyd's death, we have not seen a situation where it is abundantly clear that a cop has done something horribly wrong. And even without that, we've been having riots and destruction and mayhem. My fear is that at some point, we find ourselves in a situation where it becomes inordinately clear that the cop acted in bad faith. Because then all hell is going to break loose. I think it's only a matter of time, honestly. Prepping for unrest. Think that's gonna about cover it. I was working on a video about the fact that we've seen an uptick in conservative rallies being infiltrated by Antifa, BLM, counter-protesters every time, where they are putting themselves in situations to try to elicit physical confrontation. Be it yesterday when there is an individual that tried to stop the Blue Lives Matter flag and ended up getting taken down by the cops. Last week when in San Francisco they're trying to hold a free speech rally, and that really gets me. They were holding a permitted, legal, above board rally against Twitter and Facebook cutting off free speech. There is literally nothing more anti-fascist than stopping people from censoring free speech. And yet, the Antifa clowns come out and knock the man's two front teeth out, and then they go tell Twitter to stop fucking letting conservatives talk. At some point along the line, everybody forgot what the actual meaning of the word fascist is. Somebody asked me the other day, what would our elders say? And what they meant was, what would World War II soldiers say to the anti-fascists of the day? They wouldn't say shit. They'd shoot them because they're the fascists. The anti-fascists, so-called, of today are using the exact same tactics, hold the same fundamental beliefs as the fascists of yesteryear. Just like the media and the left can look at everything that everybody does and paint it with a reality of their own that has nothing to do with an objective reality, they've somehow mentally been able to redefine fascism as to anybody that doesn't believe their their way of looking at things. And the problem with that is when you act upon that and you decide that you're going to go shut down the fascist, you become the fascist. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I blocked 2 people today. I've got nothing against anybody that wants to vote for Biden. I got nothing against anybody that wants to vote their conscience. I got nothing against anybody that wants to do anything. Every individual is an individual. They are free to their own beliefs, their own wants, their own actions. What I'm not okay with, if you want to argue a point, that's fine. But if you want to argue it and you want to say that for some intrinsic reason your facts are more trustworthy than mine, you don't get to do that. The way you can do that is provide some type of proof that my facts are not fact. Cite your source. I cite my source. Me and a couple other guys run an entire news site. The news site tries to leave as much opinion out as possible. Unfortunately, I have found my ability to remain impartial for the most part on live streams just ain't happening. So I try to make it very clear. What you're hearing from me in this is not news. This is an opinion. This is my take on the news. We're going to look at it. I'm going to give you my opinion. You're probably sitting at your computer thinking something completely different, which is fine. Where I draw the line, however, is when you start taking your opinion and calling people names. Don't call somebody else ignorant. Don't call people cultist. If you have an opinion, state your opinion. If you want to argue your opinion, argue it with facts. It's the internet. Post something. And Ting, you didn't offend me at all. You're good. And the fact of the matter is, we all fear the fact that at some point we may have to do something to protect ourselves. Because, and I'll be honest, yes, the election's in 2 weeks. You would think I'd be gearing up for the election as a news site. I'm not. A majority of what I'm gearing up for is after the election. I'm trying to set it up so that I have a way to gather information and propagate information through streams and other sources of information, because regardless of who wins the election, if it's a landslide and there is no discussion, that'd be one thing. There's still going to be riots because one side or the other is not going to be happy. But given the rhetoric, as much from the left as from the right, about everybody trying to steal the election and nobody, just prepare yourself. And that, I honestly think after the election, regardless of who wins, is going to be a very trying period for our democracy. And I think the censorship of the last couple of weeks shown by Twitter and Facebook and Google is nothing compared to what you're going to see after the election, especially if Trump wins. Because I fully believe that they can control the population with the flow of information. And as Leslie just said, half of the population likes you, half the population doesn't. I don't feel represented by Joe Biden at all. From the Second Amendment to the economy to anything. Even the things where we're supposed to be the same on. Even those few slices where, I fall out of favor with conservatism and I would follow more. I don't believe them. I don't believe them, and I have every reason not to believe them, because though the media has done a good job of showing or hiding the fact that he doesn't... He's run for president twice before, and both times he's had to back out because he plagiarized everything. So it becomes a situation in which, if that's who's going to spend the next 4 years representing half the population is not going to be happy with that. That being said, I don't expect the left to be any more happy with Trump winning and him becoming the next, continuing to support that half the population. The fact of the matter is, we stand at a point where the Republicans and the Democrats stand so far apart on everything that makes up our democracy that there is so little middle ground. I think in recent history, this election is going to be felt to be the most impactful of any. If for no other reason that I'm not 100% sure if the Republicans win that they're not going to try to stay at the court. It becomes a situation where, are we going to find ourselves right back here in 4 years, where we stand so divided that to go to the left is as close to socialism as quickly as possible that our form of government allows, and go to the right is to go to a form of capitalism that is unsustainable. I don't follow, in my personal opinion, I don't think the absolute of either side is appropriate. I think the government and the country work best when facets of ideas from multiple points of view are dovetailed into a solution that helps as many as possible. I think that's how we've made it this far as a country. That's why I also think not only is it bad for any of the parties to hold all three, the House, Senate, and the presidency. I don't think that should ever happen. I think one party should be representative in one of the three, because my real fear is this election happens and somehow the Democrats get control of all three. Just like I'm sure that their nightmare is probably the Republicans getting control of all three. I don't want the Republicans to have control of all three, and I don't want the Democrats to have control of all three. The reason is it erodes the Constitution's ability to pace change. The Constitution, as it is written, our form of government, how we change, how the living thing that is the Constitution stops from becoming something it wasn't meant to be, or that a section of the population never wanted it to be, is by requiring certain things to happen with enough checks and balances that it would take generations for a complete and utter change, unless somebody got power and wanted to do a revolution. And the ability to do those things, and for those checks to work on slowing down change to a generational level, is eroded greatly when one party has complete control over all three, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So I wouldn't mind the House going Republican and the Senate going Democrat for a change, because I'm really getting tired of listening to Nancy Pelosi. I don't know if you guys watched her press conference earlier, but for whatever reason, we know there was nobody 20 feet from her, and she was in the middle of a safe zone. She decided not to take off her mask, and, well, she sounded like she had gravel in her mouth. So, let's see. She got advanced. ACB got advanced, so she will be up for a full Senate vote on Monday. I'll try to cover that live. I don't know if anybody got to see this.
An idea.
This is Joe's ad from this morning.
America was an idea. An idea. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We've never lived up to it, but we've never walked away from it before. And
so apparently Joe likes to call things ideas. America, Antifa, everything's just an idea. But that's not the part of this ad that really... we've never lived up to the idea. We've never lived up to it. Generations and generations and generations, they weren't worth shit because we didn't live up to it. Okay, Joe. So you've been in office for how long? We didn't live up to it. So apparently that 8 years you were with Obama didn't mean shit because you didn't live up to it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be really honest. If it comes out that Hunter Biden not only got in a relationship with his dead brother's wife, which is true, it's well documented, to only then cheat on her with a stripper who he impregnated, but now if we end up finding out that he did all of that, plus he had an inappropriate relationship with Bo's 14-year-old daughter, So, all right. Let me get off of here. I got to do some research. Let me see what's up for protest. And I'll be back on. keep up with the Twitter and Facebook. Follow us on YouTube, and we shall post out more information. Like I said, if we don't do protest this evening, we'll be back for the debate. So that one should be interesting, considering Biden's had a full lid since Monday, which basically means he hasn't been talking to anybody. Which I don't understand how they call Trump basement bitch because he went in the basement for 4 hours at the demand of the Secret Service. Biden checks out and goes into his basement for 4 or 5 days. And that's cool. So yeah. Alright. Y'all take it easy. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.